The following video documents the current 2019 condition of the Habersham County Law Enforcement and Correction Center in Clarkesville, Georgia. The Habersham County Jail was built in the mid-1990s with the capacity to house 130 detainees. The current daily number of Habersham County inmates ranges between 150 and 239.
This facility was constructed in 1996. We moved in 1997. And at the time we had ample space, but immediately we outgrew the building. When Ronnie James was sheriff, they moved in our first mobile trailer, which was a mobile classroom, which still serves us today for our jail admin staff is in it. Since then, we have moved in another double-wide mobile classroom that houses our investigation unit and also our training. Because in today's society and the things that are going on, training is paramount in all we do.
Issues that we have with the original design of the facility, one, we have small corridors. When you are transporting a troubled inmate from one part of the facility to another, you're required by policy to escort them, but with two officers with the inmate in the middle. The hallways are not big enough. The doorways are not big enough to get that done. So you have to move around more than you should, which makes the situation unsafe for you to do. So the corridors just, you can barely get carts through them, you can't get wheelchairs through them, and it's not safe.
Precision Planning, Inc., an engineering and architecture firm with extensive experience working with Habersham County and designing jails in other counties, conducted a study of the Habersham County Jail, focusing on current conditions, safety and security, and potential liability issues. According to the study, approximately 70 areas of noncompliance exist, as defined by the American Correctional Association standards for adult correctional facilities and the Georgia standards for adult pretrial detention facilities.
Employees are affected by the overcrowding because of, one, the hours they put in doing the transports. If there's 40 inmates going to court, then they have to move upwards of 70 to 80 inmates in and out of the facility to make room for them. But for the employees inside the facility that's working every day, when you bring that number in for court, then you really hit the overcrowding, and then that's where tempers can flare and folks can butt heads in there, and it makes a dangerous situation for the employees and the inmates inside the facility.
Housing detainees in other facilities cost Habersham County additional funds in transportation cost, housing fees, medical cost, etc., and those costs increase each year. Most importantly, housing detainees out of county creates potential liabilities and security concerns for the county when transporting inmates to other facilities.
The dangers associated with transporting inmates in general is sometimes it's done at night. So you're in a van with up to 9 inmates in it, and you're going to Lumpkin County, you're going to Hall County, and quite regularly we receive information that the inmate says, I'm not going back to prison, or I'm not going to stay in jail. And we have to take those at face value. So we'll try and pull that inmate out and not send them in the van load. But if one gets by and they set up an ambush for the van, who knows what could happen.
Concerns and costs related to housing inmates at facilities out of county are safety, security, and liability issues, housing fees currently paid at other facilities, medical cost. Inmate population is expected to increase at least 24% every 20 years.
The current state is that we always seem to be overpopulated. We have a lot of inmates that we need to house separately or have them segregated for different reasons, and we just don't have the room. So if we have inmates that we have to keep separate for medical reasons, if they have a contagious virus or some kind of skin infection, we don't have the amount of cells that we need to isolate them properly, and we're always concerned about spreading those illnesses.
We have a ton of supplies that we have to keep the inmates well nourished while they're here, whether it's food, their blankets, toiletries, all of that stuff. And there's no storage inside the building where we can keep all these things together. So on the grounds here at the Sheriff's Office, we have several smaller storage buildings we have to go outside of the facility to actually bring that stuff in when we have more inmates come in. And then on top of that, it's not just what the inmates need, it's what the employees need as well to do their jobs every day. We have 3 40-foot containers that we keep records in because we have to keep paper records on everything. And there's nowhere to keep them absolute climate controlled other than that. And we have a 24-foot Connex that we keep all of our uniforms in, and we try to keep it as climate controlled as possible because of the clothes that are in there. And our maintenance staff currently runs out of a shed on the back of the grounds to where all of their tools and everything has to be stored in there.
One critical deficiency is the lack of space for proper classification of inmates, resulting in behavioral problems and safety concerns. 1. A primary goal of the sheriff's offices is to house the growing inmate population safely, constitutionally, and economically. 2. A secondary goal is to provide well-defined sight and sound separation between males and females throughout the facility. 3. Additional goals include correcting the lack of medical cells and holding cells for mentally unstable detainees, and addressing the lack of administrative space for staff. In recent years, costly repairs have been made at the jail to rectify original construction, which is not holding up as well.
Working in the kitchen daily, we have 4 inmates helping. Can have 5, but you're in each other's way. You may have to ask somebody to wait to do something till you get one thing done. As far as moving around, it's like crowded. We have a fan for air because it's not cool in there at all. Currently, we can store up to a week. Should store at least a week and 5 days. We don't have enough space to put the things we need because it's stacked to the ceiling with just 1 week.
So the problem areas that I would face when I go into the jail usually center on me and the ministry community needing to visit someone for whom we are responsible spiritually. And in order to visit now, many times I wind up having to go to Lumpkin County or send someone to Lumpkin County, or I have to go to White County or send someone to White County because we just are overcrowded. So a lot of the inmates that I need to visit and that I need to do my best to help care for are in another city. And one other problem that oftentimes crops up is that because of the overcrowding, at times the guards are so busy dealing with so many issues that it may take us a long time to get to see that particular inmate. Everyone on the staff is wonderful and works with us extremely well, but they face limitations because of the jail in which they work.
Existing jail facility concerns include: inmate population exceeds capacity. Facility was not designed for expansion. Facility does not comply with jail design standards. Security and safety of officers and inmates is at risk. Ongoing transportation of inmates in other counties increases risk to staff and cost to Habersham County.
Currently, one of the biggest issues that we have with sightline and space inside the facility is our control room officers do not have enough space to spread out their paperwork. Their computer is in a very confined space. They have a printer in there, they have the telephone, they also have supplies that the dorm officers are going to need while they are on the floor. There's no bathroom in there for them to use. The sight lines that they have to look at are very obstructed by steel beams from the process of putting the windows in, chimneys that were put in after the fact when the building was built to bring exhaust to parts of the building that didn't have it originally. The showers they protrude out of the sight line a good 12 feet to where many things can happen outside of the view of the officer in the tower.
From a lawyer's perspective, one of the things that you need when a person is in jail that you're representing who doesn't have a bond yet or maybe has had his bond denied, and you're preparing a case, it's impossible now. I started practicing law here and been in Habersham County over 40 years ago, and I was excited when this present jail was built because at that time the jail was above the courtroom. And you were seeing your clients in a little 6x6 kitchen, or they'd put you in a jail cell with them. So we were excited as lawyers that we were going to finally have an attorney-client interview room. And that lasted maybe 4 or 5 years, and it was a very small space, but it was good because you felt like your conversations were confidential. And today what we're doing is meeting our clients in a hallway or in a laundry room where there's always people back and forth. And if you're preparing, and I've got a big case coming up with somebody that's in jail, and you need to spend 10, 12, 20 hours with that client in preparation for trial, and you're trying to do it in those conditions, it's impossible. Sheriff Terrell's got a good staff here. They try to help you as much as they can, but it's simply not enough room to conduct your business as an attorney if you want to be effective for them.
When we have the dentist here, this whole space is taken up. We have to move this cart in there. So you have the dentist and his assistant in here, and then you have the inmate in the chair. The 2 nurses are in there and the officer, so it's really cramped in here. Usually we have 2 nurses on staff. We have a very small desk and only 1 computer. We're always tripping over each other.
With the up to 70 noncompliance issues that we have with federal and state laws, some of those include we are not ADA compliant at all. We don't have any showers that we can run a wheelchair into. The corridors and the doors are not big enough to get wheelchairs through. We have issues with the block that the building was built with in the showers is eroding away, and we've had some mold and mildew issues with them. Including with the non-compliance issues, we have issues with our sewage. Our 4-inch sewer main is not enough to handle more than 2 showers at a time out of the 12 showers that we have here. If you turn on more than 2 showers, it overloads the system and it backs up into the administrative area. If inmates begin to flush the toilets and flush sheets and blankets and jumpsuits and even just trash down through the line, it eventually causes a clog, which will clog the sewage main up, and it will back up into the administrative area or into the intake area of the jail. On average, an inmate flushes the toilet 8 times an hour.
The report concludes that there is no feasible or cost-effective way to expand and renovate the existing jail for compliance with state and federal regulations. Precision Planning and the Georgia Sheriff's Association recommend that Habersham County move forward with funding and development of a new jail. This is a current aerial shot of the facility, and this shows the facility with the proposed newly constructed building. The final site master plan includes the capability of a cost-effective expansion to the housing pods, including 314 inmate beds, expandable to 504. Booking, kitchen, laundry, and medical rooms, special management cells, first appearance courtroom, video visitation, and sheriff's administration. The county has explored every avenue possible to ensure that we are building the right size jail facility to meet both current and future demands for Habersham County.